But here we are. Guess what? I'm still here. I'm still in the north. I'm still in the north. Probably head home tomorrow night. Or I'll leave at 5 next Wednesday morning or something. Sarah's getting a little antsy. And you guys remember Chippy? Remember how cute Chippy is? Well, Chippy's little brother is at our house right now. Oh my goodness. Wait till you see this one. But anyway, he has to go back home on Thursday, and Sarah's like, you better be here before he has to go home. I'm like, okay. I'll be there. I just can't stop exploring. I love it. I think I'm almost half feral human right now, actually. Got all this nasty shit growing up my face. Can't wait to cut this off. Probably due for a shower. Yeah, I've definitely been going feral, running around the north, but I love it. You know, it's funny too, on this trip, I think I've met around almost 10 different people. All of them are from the north. And I've never met any of them previously where we all had mutual friends. And also life histories in a way. A lot of people in the outfitting, hunting world. And the funny thing about it that kind of took me back a little bit was every single person I met, I probably could have spoke with each one of them for days. You know what I mean? Pretty cool. Very, very kind people. Very cool people. And I'm certain if I lived up here, we would all be good friends. It's kind of funny. People probably wonder why I don't live in the north. If Sarah and I weren't together, I'd be in the north. Trust me. This is where I always tell her that a big chunk of my soul is up here. There's no way out of it. But anyway, I found a bunch of elk. And spoke to another guy who owns a big chunk of private land. I saw him on the road and pulled him over to ask him exactly what the boundaries were and everything. We started talking, and sure enough, he used to be in the guiding industry, and said, come on down to my cabin, I'll show you some maps. I'm like, okay. And we ended up talking for a while, and then he gave me permission to hunt all his property. What a kind guy. I might go snoop around there this evening. There's a lot of elk running around there. Having a lot of fun. But anyway. So what's going on in the world today, you guys? What is going on in the world today? What a question that is right about now, right? What isn't going on? Get away here, you little bloodsucker. One note that I will make mention of as I scroll down to where I have a big pocket of unread emails that I need to share. There's these little bloodsuckers. I might have to go put bug dope on for the first time in forever. Thought I might have been dirty enough to keep the mosquitoes away. Anybody been following the Charlie Kirk murder? I listen to basically anything. It seems I follow my gut. My gut tells me what to listen to. My gut decides everything for me. I mean everything. Nobody can tell me nothing. People can share knowledge they have with me and make suggestions to me, and I take it all in. But my gut's the ultimate decider, right? So on that note, I've been sitting in a, how do you say, just sitting in the background watching everything goes on. I've been keeping tabs on the Charlie Kirk thing. Not too much time, but enough time to know what's up. And I just got to mention this. You know, it showed, somebody did a video analysis of it, which you can't argue with. You can't. I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, no taken. No kidding. Yeah, they did it for sure. Without a doubt, the security guys killed him. Without a doubt about it. Then my gut screaming that's valid after watching what they've delivered to the public. The sleuths, the people that care. But one note, I don't understand why every single person within 10 feet of him, how their names and photographs aren't clear right now. Shouldn't they all be spoke to? But more importantly, pointing to the fact that they killed Charlie Kirk. When you watch the video, the eyes of those men are on Charlie Kirk, right? The guy that apparently does the hand signal, the guy that apparently detonates. There's a bunch of guys doing different things, all within his intimate circle at that public venue, and every single one of them. Okay, I'll get into emails in a sec, but just listen to me for a minute. Let's just say you're at a public venue. Okay, crowd of people. There's a controversial guy sitting right there in front of you, and a gunshot rings out. I don't know if you've ever been in the front of a muzzle of a 30-06, but if you have, it is freaking loud. Like a cannon, if you're in front of the muzzle. Anyway, I don't believe there's anyone who could be in the presence of any gunshot and not go like this. Oh my gosh. And look around, right? Now, if you're a highly trained security personnel and a gun goes off, I would imagine you're going to draw your piece and face the danger, locate the danger, right? Wouldn't that be, especially with hundreds of people right there, hundreds of unarmed souls to protect? Don't you think you would probably swing around and look towards the gunshot? All of those dirty sons of bitches are focused on Charlie Kirk. The explosive goes off, whatever it is that killed him, and they all went in on him, and they never took their attention off him for a second. In your face, right? In your face. And if I had to make a guess, I mean, let's face it. Look what happened 9/11. Well, is the true murderers ever going to be named or see justice for killing Charlie Kirk? They can't even get the guys who did 9/11. And that's in your face, right? COVID's in your face. It's amazing to me, all these things that happen in our lifetime that are absolutely in our face and nothing ever happens. Isn't that amazing? That's what I'm getting at. The point of most of what I'm mentioning all this for is the fact that everything is basically delivered in our faces, like we don't matter, we don't count, and it doesn't matter what we think anyway. And sadly, that's true. Isn't it suck that that's true on average right now? All of the facts that came with 9/11, and nobody has even blinked an eye, freaked out, a global protest to find the people responsible. If I had to guess, I'd say the same people that did 9/11 did Charlie Kirk, and amongst a bunch of other things, if I had to guess, right? Man, some of the power some of these dark sons of bitches have is unbelievable. The power they have over us is amazing to me. Especially, you guys see what I do. I'm out here, I can feel myself getting stronger by the minute. I used to do this for 120 days straight, run up and down the Rocky Mountains for 120 days straight, drinking water every day out of a creek, eating healthy food, and just getting strong and healthy and clear. And that's why I try to do this as much as I can now. The point I'm making is everything is clear to me. I see clearly. Bullshit is very clear to me. Do you know what I mean? I'm very healthy. My mind works. I think it works well. So what I'm trying to say is, it's amazing to me just how easily, I don't even know what to say anymore. There's zero respect for you and I globally. There just isn't. There's none there. It's amazing. It's amazing what the dark bastards are getting away with nonstop, and it's in our faces. If your brain is firing independently, even half firing, you can see that all these things are in our faces. Guilty, absolute farce when it comes to the delivered truth. Farce, easily proven farce. And what do we all do about it? And how do we get there? How do we get to the point where we just shrug and keep flipping and we don't do anything about anything? Isn't it weird? There's a lot of people out there talking. There's a lot of people raising the alarms, a lot of people talking and screaming truth and pointing at the truth and pointing at the facts. But for the most part, the majority of us just kind of shrug it off. Isn't that amazing? It's amazing to me. It's absolutely amazing to me. But I guess for real true change and people to be served justice, I guess it just has to start hurting a little more than it is right now currently, right? With the majority of the people in the world. I guess it's just going to have to start to hurt more to knee-jerk people into taking care of shit and taking it back. Holy cow, was that a babble? Was that ever a babble? I'm talking to myself for days in the forest. Yeah, they murdered him. They murdered Charlie Kirk, and they murdered him right in our faces. And that's going to be the end of it. That's going to be the end of it. We're all going to be pissed off, pointing at this, pointing at that. Look at the video, look at the evidence, listen to this expert talk. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We've been conditioned to not give a shit for more than 5 minutes on average. Anyway, even this truth right here, right? The one that I know absolutely intimately that this is all valid, real shit. And it's amazing to me. I mean, how many witnesses have we come up with just here? How many witnesses? How many? Right? How many? The children are still not taught this truth, are they? By mainstream. Mainstream is the mainstream narrative owners are pure evil. All right, no more babbling. Let's get some reading. I'm sorry, guys. I'm probably not even making any sense. This is titled Brasstown, North Carolina, 1986, age 15. Steve, I'm sorry about the length of this story. I wouldn't achieve the real seriousness of what happened to me had I taken any detail from it. I understand. Most of you likely won't use it due to time restrictions, and I'm fine with that, but at least you can grasp what happened to me and kind of get an idea of what I'm about and why I post on your pages and explain the things I do to some of your YouTube trolls that demand evidence or a body. My 30-plus years of digging into this topic, the cover-ups, the lies, the truths that would blow the average person's mind away, is just another day at the office for me. I've read thousands of testimonials, stored thousands of pictures and videos. I've also snagged about 80 to 100 people I've told about you that now follow you and will be behind you as you march forward with the real truth to the questions everyone has related to this topic. If you choose to use my name, that is fine. I understand it might not be legal to use the name of the video I watched and which made me angry enough to come forward finally on a public platform. This is a true story, and I've kind of bottled it up until the last few months. I posted this to a video on YouTube via, I don't think I'm going to mention any names here, titled, a video that really got me angry. I edited it at the time. I wrote it because I wasn't nice. But here's my story. Feel free to see the video that created my reason for stepping forward. I guess this is his comment. People like you, blank blank, and these videos and hoaxes that make fun of a seriousness that it actually is why people won't step forward and tell the truth about what they have seen and what it did to them mentally. The reason people are afraid to come forward and say what I will. It ain't no joke when you got something like this looking you in the eyes. Watching it watch you while you can tell it's calculating what it should do about you in its domain. You realize how massive it is and that you got its 100% attention, every bit of its focuses directly on you. And at that moment, you have two reactions, and it's something everything on this planet has: fight or flight. And then your brain's motor skills shut down. You're not doing anything because you're stone frozen, totally and utterly helpless, knowing damn well the gun you have for protection will most likely piss it off even more, and even moving to reach for it isn't even an option at that exact moment in time. Trust me when I say that. And don't get me wrong, I wouldn't go down without trying to prevent my demise, but just the overall size and demeanor and the look it had was pure hostile. Just looking at its massive chest, the size of its head and hands, a very fit specimen that reminded me of one of those barrel-chested men you see on those tough man challenges. Difference being, this thing was 3, maybe 4 times bigger. It was wider than I was tall. And if it wasn't slightly bent over, its head would have been in the tree. It sounds far-fetched, but it is what it is. Take it or leave it. I don't really care who does or doesn't believe me anymore at this point. Its height reminded me of a giraffe exhibit at the zoo. I've watched hours and hours of Bigfoot footage trying to help me swallow the bitter taste I left in my mouth. I've come to the conclusion: the thing I've seen must have been in its prime years. And if they have a hierarchy amongst Bigfoots, this one held one of the top seats. I noticed right off its black hair was clean, almost like it didn't belong in the middle of the woods. I don't know how to explain it. It had shiny hair and was actually well kept and maintained, like it brushed its hair. I say this now based on the majority Bigfoot video, hours and hours I've seen, and using the facts of what I saw and know was real to make spot-on decisions of what's real and fake of all the footage I viewed. I can say without a doubt, this was a bit larger. 7 to 8 feet, 100% 9 feet or more. Its head was in the trees, and it was hunched over a bit. It had intelligence, make no mistake. You could see in the way its eyes looked at me, calculating. It was not even close to an ape or gorilla. This thing was a giant human with hair, to put it simply. I was hoping to watch a video and just catch a glimpse of something similar to what this thing was like. I've seen this Sylvanian Bigfoot footage, and it wasn't that. I've seen the Patterson video, and it wasn't that. It had more of a human face and a wide jawline. The mouth seemed lower than a human, like there was a bigger gap from the bottom of its nose to its mouth. Its brow line was slightly protruding, but not like a Neanderthal. Face had no hair other than sideburns that went into a beard that went all the way around the bottom of a chin and back up to the opposite sideburn. And its eyebrows were connected, a full line of hair across the underside of its brow line. Definitely was human. And I can understand someone wanting to shoot because of the human characteristics, but that's not what stopped me that day. I can't put my finger on it to this day, but the look of it and how the odd feeling that came over me as I unknowingly got closer to it felt like someone watching me. It knew I was there, and I believe it chose to let me see it. When we both made that initial eye contact, it was a feeling of darkness and sinister, nothing in the realm of goodness. The surge of fear from what felt like it was a part of a bigger plan, and I was smack dab in the middle of it. Kind of like you walk into a room of people you don't get along with, and you're the topic. Nobody's saying nice things, and as you walk in, everyone stops talking and looks right at you. That's as close as I can get. I'll never be able to explain how demoralizing, humbled, and at the same time worthless and feeble this thing made me feel. Your mental state, who you might think you are, curls right up in a ball and says, "Mommy." Pure fear. Instantly put my world into perspective and crushed my soul. At that second, you are a shell of a man, predator and prey. It's changed everything inside me, and how I feel about everything. That day will never go away, forever instilled in my mind's eye. I understand you wouldn't have any idea why something like this video for everyone to see could piss me off so badly, and I'm almost sorry to vent on you, but people like myself and others like me have had similar encounters and won't say a word to anybody. Partly don't want to be laughed at because of videos like this that makes fun of the situation. Partly still scared to death, and even mentioning the ordeal brings you right back to that day, but mainly because they don't have the effing balls to stand up and say what happened and how bad it screwed them up mentally. Please don't insult my intelligence by saying this video is real. If you'd have seen what I've seen, this upload would have never happened. Not to mention this hairy guy here misses the mark by 3 to 4 feet, and I'd say 400 to 500 pounds and then some. Hard to say. Honestly, I rarely go public like this. I rarely go public with this. I will tell anyone my story that asks me about that day, but for the most part, I keep that day bottled up. And I will let you know, though, it stared at me for 30 seconds. And when I say 30, it felt like 30 hours. I still feel like I'm there when I recall that day, or if I stumble across something that stirs a memory from that day. That 30 seconds of my life can be remembered in such detail. Its eyes burned a hole in my soul, the way it was hunched over like it was going to jump towards me. It had the lowest, slowest growl I've ever heard in my life. Damn, I got chills writing that. There isn't anything I can't remember about that day. It's like it heightened my senses. Anyway, after it knew and made sure I knew it was boss, I messed up by making the worst decision of my life that day by walking northwest in the woods, looking for morel mushrooms on Mother's Day, trying to surprise my grandma. She loves her mushrooms. It started to slowly turn its body as it took its first step away from me instead of towards me. It never took its greenish-red, odd-colored eyes off of me. As the weight of the situation started to diminish, it was as much emotion as a person can take in one day, believe me. It was like all the air was taken from me, and then 30 seconds later, smacked in the face with a breeze. I should have played the lottery that day because I was extremely lucky to still be alive. I got to see something like that up close and personal, and it was unreal to me to see something that was so gigantic and being so agile. It walked with a flow. There's no jerk to its step. Its head did not bob up or down. If I hadn't seen it walking away with my own eyes and felt its vibration, I'd swore it was floating with an attitude like, "You're lucky to be alive, you punk-ass human," for lack of better words, as it walked away from me, staring back at me, stepping sure-footed away from me, like it knew the ground ahead of it and where it was headed. And by the way, I felt the ground vibrate from the weight of it walking away. It made me feel like I was supposed to feel it walking away instead of killing me on the spot. That I was indeed lucky, before I rudely thought I could take a shortcut through its living room. The growl it had continuously stayed low and didn't seem to stop until it turned its back walking away. It must have lungs for days. That low sound it made kept me scared, and if I think about it, I can still hear it. And lastly, my encounter was hands down, without a doubt, the most horrifically scariest day of my life. I will admit the size and the all-around idea of it actually existing was breathtaking. I wasn't able to move or think until I was about 50 yards away or more. Even when my brain came out of backup mode, I still did not want to move. That's my story, and it's changed everything about me and took that 15-year-old boy right out of me. I grew up that day not knowing up or down and rattled to my core. And by the way, this happened in Brasstown, North Carolina in 1986. I was 15, staying at my grandma and my grandpa's. Always played in the woods. My grandpa taught me how to carry and use a gun when I was 10. He never let me leave the house without protection. And I've always wondered if my grandpa knew about these beings and if it was the real reason he taught me how to use and carry a gun at such an early age. That day, the gun and I were both useless in every sense of the word. They literally lived in the sticks, a good mile from any neighbor, and the woods circled my grandparents' trailer 5 to 10 miles in every direction. It was really beautiful, but I'll say this now looking back. Being that far into the woods, we, bracket, no-hair humans, end bracket, were not in our element. We were in Mother Nature's. To those who want to find a Bigfoot, don't. To those that have, sorry. And I mean that. Woo. And there you go. So I take it that was a... appreciate you, Tom. You put it all into words pretty good, didn't you? A lot better than I could. The impact, the life-changing impact. And I guess that was a comment you left on another guy's channel that's a hoaxer or something. We don't need to promote his name, remember? Any attention is good attention when it comes to promoting, right? We'll pass his name. And there you go, you guys. There you go. You guys, somebody laughs at the topic, you might want them to hear this gentleman's email, right? Oof. More from another person from the UK. Here we go. What do we got? Experiences from the UK. Hello, Steve and the Howdon family. I live in the Forest of Dean. England. We have England's largest river, the Severn. One side of us and Wales' largest river, the Wye. Wye. W-Y-E. On the other side. So, in a way, we're on an island. On the banks of the Severn, we have 3 nuclear power stations nearby. And I hear lots of stories about Sabe frequenting nuclear sites. But I'm not sure if it's nuclear weapon sites, not power stations. Anyway, my first experience was back in around 81, 82, when I was 11, 12 years old. And a group of us kids were out in our local woods playing foxes and hounds. A children's game very similar to tag. I was hiding away in a thick fir tree plantation when I heard a few of my friends shouting for us all to come to them and look at something. I first thought it was a trick to catch us. But by the way they were shouting more and more, I decided to home in on their voices. And I came out on the edge of the fir trees into a very thick bramble patch. I stood on a tree stump, and I could just make out the heads of my friends about 30 to 40 yards away in a small clear area. And just as I decided to go back into the firs to make my way to them, I had this immense fear come over me like I'd never had before or since, and I was terrified. I felt like something was watching me. Then, the branch breaking started, and what sounded like an elephant coming through the trees toward me. I can feel the fear even now, 40-odd years later. I started pushing my way through the bramble bushes, which must have been about 4 feet high, to try and reach my friends, and I was shouting in fear. Thorns were cutting through my clothes, into my body. I got totally tangled in them. The noise, the dread was overpowering. I glanced over my shoulder, and one of the fir trees was swaying about, and I'm sure I saw a black face. Black long hair, about halfway up the tree, which is about 15 feet high. That just scared me so much. I ripped myself through the brambles for a good 20 feet to the clearing where the rest of the boys were. I was shouting, screaming, saying, "What's behind me?" Nothing's there, they said. They hadn't heard a thing. In the clearing, they had found an area of ferns that had been flattened down in the center. In the clearing, they had found an area of ferns that had been flattened down in the center. Was a dead fallow deer with blood coming out of its mouth and ears, and what looked like a broken rear leg. I couldn't wait to get out of the woods, still in a state of fear. Now, 40 years later, knowing what I know now, I think we had come across a kill of a sabe. I suffered for months not wanting to play out in the woods, but eventually put it out of my mind. The second experience was around 1 year later. 3 of us were out, late evening, dark, just out walking around and messing about. We were on the main road by the edge of the woods when we all heard the loudest scream, cross roar, ever coming from the forest. It must have continued for 8 to 10 seconds. We all looked at each other worried, me more so as it took me back a year previous. Now I've heard the sounds and vocals from the internet. They match perfectly with what we heard 40 years ago. I'm sorry this went on. I hope it's not too long for you to use, Steve. Keep up the great work you're doing for the people, Steve. I have 2 more experiences I'll send in soon if you want to hear them. They're connected. Please don't use my name. 2 more, holy. Yeah, we want to hear them. We all do. Keep them coming. There you go. Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. England, the UK. You guys seen the dog shit going on over there? Talk about a country that's lost their shit. Holy cow. You see that guy? You see that I probably mentioned this before. You seen that judge? You seen that judge passing down the 2-year sentence to that guy for making a Facebook post? Saw another video the other day of a cop coming into a woman's home and sitting down on her, is in the UK, sitting down on her Chesterfield, demanding, giving an option. Either you can find the person that you make an apology for your post you did on Facebook, or you're going to have to come in. Holy shit. A couple prominent people, British, couple Brits. You guys actually remember a parliament, actually, it was. The opposition party, and him and his wife went traveling and came home, and they arrested him underneath the terrorism clause in the UK. Held him for hours. There's also a British comedian, I forget her name right now. She got arrested the other day for what she says publicly in the UK. It's almost to the point right now, every single citizen in the UK should probably watch the movie Braveheart. Right? Don't you think? Actually, every single person in the world should probably have to watch that movie. Watch the movie Braveheart, so you can see what you need to do to straighten the shit out. Right? The villains in those movies, that one judge in the UK, my God, he fit the villain character perfectly in those movies. And it's real life. How scary is that? How scary is God? I don't know what I would do, or what I'm gonna do, if some brainwashed pieces of shit with badges on, take note, I said the brainwashed ones, not the good ones, came to my house to apprehend me for something I might have said online. I'm not sure how that scenario would end. It probably wouldn't be too good. Probably wouldn't be too good. I demand freedom. Man, I just can't imagine what it must be like. Well, Canada's not too far off. We're on our way there too. It's very frustrating being here. It's just frustrating not being able to do something about it, you know? That's the real frustrating part for me. And then if you did start, I thought about it, I'm like, okay, let's just say I put forward more of an effort than I do hunting or fishing to promoting freedom in Canada and pointing out the bad guys. I wonder how long it would actually take for them to, once your voice started getting loud enough, I wonder how long it would take for them to off you, or just put some nasty shit on your computer and then come arrest you and make you a publicly known pedophile or something, and then throw you away. Ruthless, right? I'll stop babbling. Ruthless sons of bitches. Ruthless sons of bitches, man. That is amazing to me today. It's amazing how we've been conditioned. That's one thing that's really got me thinking lately. How we've been conditioned to just go, oh wow, look at that. Charlie Kirk was murdered by a security team. Huh, crazy. And off we go. right? Two, treaty? Hello, Steve. I have no stories of my own, but I lost a friend in 2020. And he told me that him and a friend of his in the 90s had hacked into the Department of Parks and found that there is a treaty between U.S. government and the Sabe people. The treaty said for the Sabe teaching government what they know. The government will set land aside for the Sabe place, live, and hunt. What? The government will set land aside for the Sabe. I think he meant for them to live and hunt. My father saw a dog man in the late 1920s, when he was a teenager while coon hunting at Harper Ferry, Virginia. He then saw Sabe in 1959, Loudoun County. Loudoun, Loudoun County. Then saw another one on family farm near Chantilly, Fairfax County. Chantilly, Fairfax County. I worked for a large cattle farmer. One day, the guy that helped me fix fences dropped me off. All I can do is read what's in front of me. Dropped me off for me, checked the fence in a deep ravine. I checked the fence when I got to the top on the other side. I had to wait for him to show up. Normally, he's there waiting for me. I asked why he was late. He told me that a Bigfoot came out of the woods about 100 feet from where I entered. He had to wait for it to walk by. Then a week later, another coworker told me I had repaired a new fence I just put up a week before. He said he shot a deer. He watched something walk up to his deer and walk off on two legs. When it got to the new fence, it stepped on the wires and popped all the staples out of 3 posts. Now this was 10 lines of high-tension wires that will knock a 1,500-pound cow down no problem. P.S. I only sent these stories to you on these other emails. All right, I got you. Got it. Got it. Stepped on all the wires in the fence and ripped them out of 3 posts. Wow, and imagine he took the deer, right? We don't all type the smoothest, but that's okay. I don't. This is titled My Bigfoot Encounter. Hello, Steve. Chris here from Oregon. Thanks for what you're doing here. So back about 15 years ago, I had my encounter with this thing. I was up four-wheeling in my Toyota by myself, which I never do due to the fact of something going wrong, but this night I went solo. I was on Wildcat Mountain driving a trail that went from what we call West Wildcat to East Wildcat, which I had been on a shitload of times. The trail was a mix of old logging roads and old Forest Service roads, and it wasn't that difficult of a trail with 42-inch tires in my Toyota. Well, on this trail was an old timber bridge that was taken out, so I had to drop down it and come back up the other side. But that's when I got stuck due to the snow-covered rocks. So I shut my truck off, got out, put my winch in neutral and pulled the cable up to a tree. It was snowing out and the wind was blowing out of the west. And that's when a rock the size of a football or a little bigger went flying over my truck from the passenger side to the driver's side. I thought, what the hell was that? Was someone messing with me up here? So I got back down to my truck, put the winch back in gear, and that's when another rock goes flying over. It's getting dark and even darker in the trees, so I could see who or what was doing it. At this point, I'm kind of freaking out. So I got my truck, started it back up, and pulled myself up the steep embankment. Got out and unhooked the cable, and that's when this big-ass tree branch gets thrown like a javelin right at my truck, from the east against the wind, just missing my truck. I got back in my truck and got the hell out of there. No doubt. No doubt. I think this thing was trying to scare me out of its territory, and it sure worked. I never drove that trail again. I never told any one of my buddies. I never told none of my buddies about, due to the fact they would think I'm crazy. I was going to stop by this Bigfoot museum / roadside tourist trap that was put in down the road from my house, but found out it's ran by one of those freaks from Finding Bullshit. So I didn't want to waste my time. Well, thanks again for what you're doing. Getting the word out, Chris. Appreciate you, Chris. Tell your buddies, man. Just tell them. And when you do tell them, just look them straight in the eye and go, you really think I need attention from you? I just woke up this morning and thought, what kind of bullshit could I make up to tell you today? Really? That's what I've done. It worked pretty good in the past. Wow. Okay, one more, then I'm going to the woods. One more, I'm going to the woods. Kaibab Forest, Arizona encounter. My wife, young kids, her parents, and I set out on a 3-day RV-style camping trip to 1.5 Mile Lake, smack in the center of the Kaibab National Forest in northern Arizona, close to the north rim of the Grand Canyon. It was early June 2005. We lived in Phoenix, and it took close to 6 hours to get up there. Unfortunately, for no good reason, I decided to eat some of the car food. Oh, we had some of the car food we had with us once we arrived in the forest. I figured the food was fine. It tasted fine. But it had spoiled in the long trip. At around midnight on our first night, that food was coming back up. Oh, I hate that. Blech. I got up, put a jacket on, and headed out of the trailer to let it all out. I felt so miserable. I walked around to the driver's side of my Trailblazer, opened the door, and turned the headlights on. It was completely black out there, and I couldn't see anything. With the lights on, I positioned myself between the front headlights and got sick. I finished that mess, and with a little relief from the nausea, I stood up and looked outward, in the direction the headlights were shining. I was startled to see 2 red, glowing eyes hovering about 2 feet off the ground, swaying side to side like something trying to get a better look at me. I guessed the creature was about 40 yards away, and with the headlights on, I could barely make out long hair, and the shape was like a rounded mound. The eyes were about 7 inches apart and would blink slowly, one side at a time, like it was trying to see us one eye at a time to see me better. That's creepy. I guess my headlights were blinding it. I was petrified. I couldn't move. I couldn't even breathe. If that thing charged me, that would have been it. I couldn't move. After maybe 20 seconds of this, the thing stood up slowly. The 3/4 inch circles of shining red lifted into the air, and I could now see the shape of a massive, hairy man with really long arms. The arms were as big around as my torso, and as long as I am tall. It took one step sideways, partially hiding behind a tree, but the eyes stayed fixed on me. The thing turned into a statue. No movement at all, no blinking, nothing, like it was part of the forest. Then that stupid Trailblazer of mine decided on its own that I didn't need those headlights anymore, and they shut off, like on a timer or something. Back to pitch black. But worse. My eyes were not adjusted to the dark at all, and I was blind and petrified now. I just about shit myself. Suddenly I could move again, and I moved myself back into the trailer as fast as I could. I was more terrified than any other time in my life, and I was trembling. I was almost in tears, and I had no idea what to do. Wake everybody up? I decided to just sit and listen. 2 hours later, multiple wild screams, and maybe a half a mile away, they echoed through the entire forest. The screams were full of bass and screech all at the same time, over and over again, maybe 6 times. The scream seemed to finish with a "oh" sound, like "ah-ho." Unfortunately, nobody woke up. I was scared to death, solo, while my entire family was having a sweet little dreams. And needless to say, I didn't sleep at all. As soon as the morning light broke, I went out to that tree where this thing was standing. And there was a branch, I remember it being at his shoulder. I couldn't even touch it, jumping as high as I could. The hairy man was easily twice my height. That terrified me all over again. When everyone else woke up, I started rambling about what had happened. My father-in-law looked at me like he was afraid for his daughter and his grandchildren. I was like, oh shit, I can't tell this story at all. I dropped it and started playing it down like maybe it was a bad dream that caused by getting sick. Luckily, I had a good excuse to stay in bed for the rest of the day, though. I actually just needed sleep. We stopped camping after that. It's been 16 years, and I'm still haunted by this one encounter, and it really sucks. Adrian. Yeah, it does, man. I'm sorry it's taken a bunch of quality of life away from you. That's big motivation. That's a big part of the motivation of me continuing to make sure that I get everybody heard. That sucks, man. That makes me growl. I hate hearing about people losing quality of life, especially when it comes to being in the real world, right? Brutal. What do you do? How do you even get somebody prepared for maybe potentially that having, like, going down for real, you know? Like, how do we do that? Just keep on sharing emails, I guess, sharing everybody's testimonies and how they felt and what happened. I never thought this before, but I mean, I wonder how many. I was going to say, well, everybody seems to be making out okay because they email in, but I guess then there just might be some that can't email in afterwards, right? We'll never know about it. Anyway, I got to get moving. I'm in feral human mode. Sometimes I'm scared when I make these videos out here after being out in the woods for a few weeks, couple weeks solo. I don't even talk normal anymore. Probably not. Oh well. I'll be back in civilization in a couple days. Speaking English more often. Actually, I've been fortunate. I've met some people on this trip. Like I said earlier, I really appreciated meeting all the people I met in this trip. Anyway, babbling. I'm out of here. I'm going to go slip into the forest until it gets pitch black. Down a herd of elk. I'm going to go see what they're doing. Share my story at howtohunt.com. If you haven't seen that, the latest video analysis of that Charlie Kirk murder, you should probably watch it. And look what I'm pointing out. Those security guys don't even glance towards where the gunshot was coming from. Not even a half a glance. Oh, in your face, right? In your face.